So a little bit about myself. My childhood friend Minnie invited me out to this church, attending CFCCHayward, in my freshman year of high school, and I started more or less regularly attending it and accepting Jesus into my life here eventually. I knew the importance of church. I knew that every member of the church was vital to the church body, but I didn't so much care for a commitment to a church, and it really rocked my faith during my early years of accepting Jesus into my life. I saw coming to church as an optional extracurricular activity. It was like a social club, and I could easily run away from it whenever I could. I made up excuses like I'm too tired to come out to fellowship, or I have family events on Sundays. And my faith in God seemed as rocky as my relationship with the church, basically. I didn't think my faith in Jesus really needed seeking Him in a community, so I avoided trying to find any sense of a spiritual home when I was in college and even in grad school in Southern California, because I knew, I would graduate soon, I'd move back, so there would be no point to a long-term commitment. When I moved back up here after grad school in 2013, my boyfriend at the time had committed to being a member at a church plant in Alameda. And so naturally I joined it, and so that I could support him without having a second thought about, evaluating this church. And I figured I'd attempt to find a spiritual family, finally, over the course of a long term. It turns out that I had joined what I observed to be a spiritually abusive church. The pastor here at this church plant approached many members and confronted them about things like not showing up to Bible studies or missing church events, and they were rebuked publicly and shamed privately through emails. I was exposed to a very spiritually abusive environment that had a heavy tone at the top. And for the 17 members here, the membership covenant was very significant. It became a tool that the pastor used to keep us supporting him in his management style and in his preaching and sermons and lectures about financially giving and about supporting his ways of the church, basically. There was a lot of name-calling, a lot of shunning. I personally witnessed and experienced some of these forms of discipline. And yeah, I commiserated with a lot of people at this church as well, as I witnessed them getting disciplined and rebuked over and over again. Church participation was a number one priority, so we were condemned for not scheduling other aspects of our lives around it on Thursdays and Sundays. I think the hardest thing to cope with during my time at this church was there was no healthy means of voicing our personal concerns openly to the leaders or among ourselves without fearing punishment from the pastor or his wife. So I was very discouraged, and church became kind of a dreadful thing to think about and attend. I felt powerless to change anything, and I got upset at God for letting people that I loved get hurt. I was upset because I was giving up hope on the idea of ever becoming a part of a spiritual family. And I felt miserable when my own relationship with my boyfriend suffered and ended because we couldn't find a way to encourage one another to grow spiritually. And as I ended my dating relationship, I finally felt more at peace about leaving this church for good and turning away from God, from worshiping at any church setting. The church shortly actually disbanded on many counts of spiritual abuse. And I left the church bearing a very hardened heart and a distaste for life in the church community. I thought, why bother finding a spiritual home when I could be content listening to sermons in my pajamas at home on Sundays, and what was wrong with hanging out with Christian friends on my own time instead of joining a church community? So I had a lot of doubts and questions. Thankfully, I was stopped from being completely consumed by my doubts, as friends and family constantly checked up on me. I have one of my best friends here at church, Catherine Wong, for constantly encouraging me to come back to Thursday fellowships and Sunday services here at church. Thank you, Kat, for that. Even though I felt a lot of angst about committing to a church again, I went through the motions of coming out and participating in discussions in fellowship, even though I was emotionally and spiritually detached from worshiping God in a church community. Around this time, I started coming back. The Young Adult Fellowship, Transparent, was going through a series called D4D, Designed for Discipline, in discussion groups, and it focused on cultivating spiritual disciplines and habits of devotion. I remember studying the examination of the conscience as one of the D4D topics, and we were encouraged to invite God to move upon our heart and show us areas in which we need His forgiving and healing touch. It was really challenging to admit, but for the first time ever, I shared in depth about my struggles with church commitment in my sharing group and asked for prayers for forgiveness of people and healing from my past. I was also urged by Pastor Dennis to sign up for a CFCC summer retreat on the very last day of registration, and I ended up being very thankful that he did, because the theme of that retreat was redemptive suffering. And the sermons by the pastor, Pastor Matthew Blevins, spoke to me at a very timely stage of healing from my church issues. God does not waste our pain. So with a broken and contrite heart, I felt the constancy of God's love through many different means within this church family for the first time in a very long time. I became thankful for a safe environment in my first sharing group that consisted of both old friends and new friendly strangers, and I thought, wow, this is what being a part of a healthy small group feels like, and a healthy family feels like. I was thankful for old friends who cared to ask why I was back, and new friends whom I could be open with and sharing about a difficult past. I became thankful for serving opportunities. I was humbled to even think I could serve in leadership roles, like leading discussion groups. There were just many examples of hope, faith, and love poured out from this community, and I had taken this for granted back in my high school days. I came to appreciate seeing the fruit modeled by the leadership here. I remember crying out to Josh during my times of struggle with my struggles at that church, the former church, and I was reminded of the importance of bearing with other people in love, and it just made me appreciate how this family makes it a goal to pursue reconciliation and restoration with God and peace and love, and it's truly a reflection of the peace and love that God has towards us. I just found peace and comfort in building healthy personal relationships with others in this community. I witnessed discipline and confrontations done out of gentleness and not out of guilt trips, which I was used to in the past. I'm encouraged that hard questions were encouraged and followed up within safe environments. And I felt comfortable in being able to come as I was with all of my baggage, all of my burdens, without fear of judgment for what I brought. It's been a rough transition, but I've never been more thankful for God and leading me back to a church that I began to see for the first time in my life as a spiritual home. I've been joyful in submitting to leaders here and brothers and sisters whom I can trust to model the pursuit of God's love in a broken world. And I've been joyful to be a part of a community of imperfect people, all striving towards the same goal of becoming more like Jesus. I'm really thankful for this community. It's been gracious in accepting me back warmly and encouraging me affectionately, even after leaving without notice. And like the prodigal son in Luke 15, who expected his relationship with his father to be severed, but was instead welcomed back with joy. I remember a dear sister, Frances Bow, I don't think she's here, but she told me a few years ago, you'll always have a home here, Charlene, and I appreciate that so much now, because I can finally see that that's true. And I just want to thank you all here at CFCC for making this a home filled with people I can consider family.